Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Charlottetown Parks and Recreation and Leisure Activities Committee meeting. Agenda for November 6th, year 2023, 12 o'clock p.m., Charlottetown Council Chambers. Call the meeting to order. Declarations of conflicts of interest. Approval of agenda. Adoption of minutes. Business arising from minutes. Frank?
There's two items on the list there, Councillor Tweel.
I'm sorry?
There's two items on the list there, right there, so yeah.
Yeah? Business arising, oh, okay. Update, I'm sorry, Frank. Update on shortcut pathway, Terry Fox Drive, and community groups requests. Go ahead, Frank, please.
Thank you, Chair Tweel. So yeah, on the shortcut pathway, we have a preliminary survey done right now. It's just being reviewed, Water and Sewer reviewing it with their surveyor. And once they have it confirmed, then we'll be sending it off to the province for them to review it and okay it. And then it'll come back to me, and then I'll work on doing a design for the shortcut pathway. And that would be hopefully be something we'd be bringing forward during the budget process. And then the other thing, community groups requests. Christopher and I have been meeting with a number of community groups. We've met with the basketball group, Thunder Basketball Group, and had a meeting with them and have been able to work with them to identify some potential space that they can utilize. So that's been one group we've been working with. And the other group we've been working with right now has been the pickleball group. We've met with them a few times, and we've been able to identify some additional space at West Raleigh Community Centre for them to do a drop-in type program. And we're working on outdoor facility, and we'll be hopefully going to be bringing that forward during the budget process, just looking at potentially repurposing a venue to turn in some pickleball courts. And then the other one, there was a cricket group. We haven't had the opportunity yet to meet with them. We're collecting some information on what's involved with the cricket pitch and the amount of space you need and all that. So that's a big ask, and we'll be looking into that further.
Mr. Chair, can I make a comment? Thank you. Through the chair to the manager. Frank, I did speak to Lisa Murphy. Is it Lisa or Lori? Lisa. And she wanted to pass on her huge thanks to the staff working closely with their association. A very positive response. And I know the Filipinos that made the request about basketball courts available in the city. I did ask them to go to the public schools branch to make a request to them formally. They plan to do that, but the response from Parks Recreation staff, especially yourself and Christopher, they were very thankful. And I do have a follow-up on the cricket pitch. Tezel, I don't have his last name, is part of that group, and he will like to reach out to you in the near future. But overall, no. Mr. Chair, it's good news. And as for the request from the councillor from Ward 3 on the pathway between Brighton Road and Terry Fox Drive, looks good, and I know that we'll be going forward in the capital budget on that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Okay. I'm sorry.
If I can just make a comment on that, on the pickleball. Frank, I don't know if it's good to you or not, my son sent me some pictures here from Fernie, BC on the pickle courts that they implemented in with the tennis courts. I don't know if that's any use to you, if you want me to forward them to you or not.
You can forward them off to Christopher and myself, and we'll have a look at them. We are looking at potentially dedicated pickleball courts, just where they're at right now. They really have, the numbers have picked up. So we've looked at the Summerside facility up there, and Christopher's looked at a couple other types of facilities as well. So we are looking at moving forward.
What's interesting here is they have the lines painted for the pickle court on the tennis court, and the pickle nets can be just removed. or set down, so it's good for both. Anyway, I'll forward them off to you.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll now move on to our reports. Resolution to award the request for proposals for the 23 park playground equipment. Frank?
All right, thank you, Chair Twill. So you'll see that we went out to RFP. We received four companies' bid. This year was a smaller order for playground equipment. We're still trying to play catch-up from previous years where our playground equipment was delayed coming in, and we're working on those installs. But we went out to RFP. We received 4 bids, and we're going with the low bid from JIL Engineering and Construction, and it's $48,018 plus applicable tax. They were the low price, and they actually scored the highest as well. We're also requesting, as part of the resolution, which you'll see attached, to allocate an additional $20,000 for the playground installation, which won't be occurring until next year, but we want to have it, once we get the piece of structure in here, we want to make sure the council is aware that there is going to be a cost to install it. So we'd be ordering this equipment right away, and it would come in sometime during the winter months.
Frank, our staff installed, did we not? Or is this for hiring somebody to install it, the 20,000?
This cost here, our staff installs it, but this is for the installation cost. So for example, building the pad, constructing the
materials.
base.
Materials.
Yeah, all that,
Okay.
yeah. So it's all the costs associated with the install.
Thanks, yeah.
So, and this playground structure, should have mentioned, it's a medium playground structure for Evergreen Park. And we've actually been doing upgrades to that location this year. We've done a lot of landscaping, grading. We've done some tree plantings. We've improved the stormwater management swale.
To clarification, Frank, so this is just for the Evergreen Park, correct?
Correct, Councillor Twill.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's fine. I think it looks pretty good. If everyone's okay, I'll
Just
entertain
one
a
question,
motion.
Mr. Chair, through the chair to the manager. Is that all right? Okay. Frank, JIL Energy and Engineering and Construction, they're out of Hammond, is it New Brunswick? I believe.
I don't have the address here in front of me, Your Worship, but
Yeah. But is this their work? Like, do they do a variety, multiple areas of work in playgrounds, construction, and so forth? I just trying to get some background. I was doing a little background on the search.
yeah, so they would sell playground equipment. They would be hooked up with a supplier. They're the local distributor in this area, so I'm not sure which company they're associated with. Some of the bigger companies like ABC Recreation, they're a larger company and actually, do the playground equipment themselves. But for example, like Fundy Fencing, that's a smaller company that has a supplier that provides them with the playground equipment. So
And just to clarify, Mr. Chair, so we do the installation. We just get the equipment from them, and then your staff is responsible for the installation.
we do the install, except for, and maybe I need to clarify in that the installation, the cost at $20,000 is for actually the associated costs with actually building the surface, bringing in the pea gravel, the perimeter box, because there's a lot of other additional work that's required. So we do have to get a contractor in to actually grade the area and make sure the proper base is down.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair. Thank you. Just on that a little bit now, it sparked my interest in, for each park that to the manager, to each park that is going to be implemented or change equipment, do we go out to RFP for each individual park through this process?
Councilor Petard, normally what we do is we actually have an RFP that goes out for a number of playgrounds,
Okay.
a number of parks. This year, we just identified one that we needed a new playground structure for. The other, and because we have a number of structures that we're installing this year, so we weren't going to have the capacity to install multiple additional playground structures. Also, playground structures, this, you'll notice, compared to last year, has pretty well doubled in cost. So the cost for playground equipment has gone up dramatically.
So that leads into my next question was, So because we go to RFP and this also includes equipment, would we not be better sourcing it directly and having that equipment from a supplier? Because I suspect this one is through JIL Engineering. Cost could be X, Y, Z. The next shipment of equipment could come from funding fencing, which could be another cost, which wouldn't be necessarily in line with what we're paying. So is there any benefit in us sourcing directly from a supplier that allow us to get a good rate, and we can still contract out the installation components?
So I just was, so JIL, and then I didn't look up all these firms ahead of time. They are an actual provider of playground equipment, so they are the supplier. So these companies here, some of them might be associated with, but they are getting the best deal. So these are the companies that actually construct the playground equipment.
Sure.
And they're the ones, when we go to RFP, they will bid on it. There'll be on occasion, like I said, some that might not, and they might be affiliated with somebody else, and they'll put a bid in. But as you can see, the bids are all very close, so it's a fairly reasonable cost. The install costs are associated, once you get the structure, then there's requirements for the install, so it could require certain base material to be used, it could require a certain perimeter box to be made for safety. And the pea gravel, that is the additional cost that we have to buy from local suppliers, and then our staff will actually construct it and put the piece of equipment in.
Okay, I think I just would, want to be cautious in seeing that that we could get better pricing in possibly tendering with one particular supplier versus going to RFP all the time and trying to evaluate whether or not their price is better than somebody else's price. So,
Just on that, it's the reason why we do go to RFP all the time as well on this, and usually it's a larger amount. You want different types of playground equipment, different types of companies offer a range, so you don't want to have all your playground equipment to be the same throughout the city.
Okay.
A lot of times, recently this is a new company we've actually been going with. We went with PlayPower before, we've gone with ABC, so we've gone with multiple companies over the years, and it makes sure there's a variety of playground equipment in your throughout your city.
Well, thank you. For
And we
that
do get the
context.
best price by going to RFP. It has proven to be enable us to get the best price.
Okay, thank you for the context. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, just to follow up on that, please. So the question that was asked by Councillor Matard, they are connected with Jambet, so they're out of Levy, Quebec. So you're right, there's a contact. Actually, JIL is out of Hanwell, not Hammond. Hanwell, New Brunswick. Anyways, yeah, no, I think it's a good mix. I think in the past, when I was Parks and Recreation some 20 years ago, we did go directly through some of the sourced playground manufacturers, but this is just as good because JIL is not just into playgrounds, they're into concrete and they're into construction overall. So good. I support it, Mr. Chair. Yeah.
Moved, second. Motion carried. Thank you. Our next item, at the request of Councilor Bernard from last month, was a discussion on a portable artificial rink system for the existing multi-sports facility.
Yep, thank you. I just want to touch base on that because I know last year the kids in Hillsborough Park never got to use the rink very much because it was always thawed. So I just want to have a little discussion on the possibility of working on the budget this year to put in for a portable artificial rink system similar to what we had down in Founders Hall. I know opening of Canada Games Day, it was plus 10 rain, and the artificial ice system down at Founders Hall was up and running that night. So I think, Frank, you could probably confirm if you can remember this, but I don't believe the Gordy Griffin multipurpose facility was officially opened all winter.
It was, on the cost, but really was difficult because there really wasn't the ice base, and we never felt comfortable to open it.
Yeah. Even though the kids, when they could, they played on it, but that was very rare. And I'm just thinking it'd be nice to be looking at part of the budget to be discussing getting these artificial ice surfaces for the multipurpose facilities. So I'm in talking with government now to see if they'll partner. Now, I don't have any answers on that. They may not be able to, but it was just something that I wanted to throw out there, that they're looking into it to see if they can do any kind of partnership. So, but I do know last year, as everybody knows, was a very mild year. The last 2 years, the pond behind us hasn't been safe to skate on, so it's been pretty mild. I think that's what the future holds. I think if we're going to continue to get these mild winters, we're not going to be able to use these facilities very often. And we've built 3 of them. We have 4 now in the city, one being at Winslow. So anyway, it's just something I want to bring up with the committee. It's something I'll be looking to see if the manager can put towards this year's upcoming budget. And meanwhile, I'll talk to the government, see if we can get some help.
Mr. Chair?
Thank
Can I
you.
speak? Mr. Chair, the issue here is that I think Frank, Christopher, Mike, when we installed the artificial ice surface down at Founders Hall Park, that required an upgrade of your electrical power from 140 to 600 watts. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Worship, it's up to phase 3.
Yeah, so, and that's portable. That one that was set up is a portable.
Is a portable unit as well,
So
yeah.
not only do you have to look at installation, but you have to look at electrical upgrades to all our outdoor multi-use sports venues. And if you do for one, you have to do for them all. And do we know, what was the estimate cost for that portable artificial ice maker? Was it, go.
It was close to $500,000.
So, yes, so at the end of the day, your unit itself, Your Worship, was 367 plus applicable taxes. So that was for the unit, the artificial rink system. And that was in May of 2022, so the costs have very likely gone up. The electrical upgrades was around, at that time for that project, around 63,000 plus applicable taxes. And then there was site work. Now, at these venues, you might not necessarily need much site work. It'd be more of the electrical upgrades, and then you'd look at purchasing units. You're probably at least $500,000 if you were going to do it at one site, and we'd have to confirm that for sure. I'd be following up.
The other issue here is that there was a source of a high power line at the end of Hillsborough Streets. That saved some money, because if that source was not there, then we would have had to upgrade the source going into that area. So, and that these multi-use sports venues are in residential areas, which I don't know how much, where the power, that source of power. Councillor Bernard, it's just accessing that huge power that's required to make that ice. I just wanted to bring that up as a point of
Yeah, and
information.
I think, Your Worship, as part of any project, I mean, that becomes part of the cost. They'll assess that. I don't know if you're saying no, or, I realize we have 3 or 4 other ones in the city, and I think, yes, you do march towards bringing artificial pads to them also. I think at the end of the day, there's not much sense us spending 300,000 plus and not being able to use it. So that's why I just brought this forward. I think you got to start somewhere. And so I know there's a cost approximately $400,000 to $500,000, because I was involved in the one down at Founders Hall and work with the government to get that. And they helped us cost share that. And that's why I'm trying to get that conversation to help with the community ones. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just a question to yourself or to the manager. The portable artificial rink system that was used down at the Founders Hall, what is the plan for that for this coming winter?
Councilor Matard, so it's going to be set up down at Founders Hall this year.
Okay.
And then if we move on to Roundhouse Park development, then it could potentially be utilized in one of our other, one of our other facilities, but would need some modifications.
Okay, so I
So-
think that also going back to what the mayor said, all this electrical and all, so I think we would want to have a discussion around if that would to be redeployed, where would be, that would best suit it with their, what about 4 parks, did we say, or four facilities? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we'd have to look at where that might be best deployed based on the infrastructure, as you indicated, Mr. Mayor. Okay, that's just for context, wanted to know where that sits and where that equipment may be redeployed. And I hope that we can have that discussion at the time. We have a new one coming out opening up soon, I assume. The Mulberry, I was losing my train. Mulberry, yeah, looking good. I drove by there the other day. So, and there's others. Okay, thank you.
Just on that, if I could, Mr. Chair. If the Roundhouse Park goes ahead and you're not able to use this pad, they'll still need the electrical. They still plan on having artificial ice down there. So they'll still need the electrical, yeah. But the pad itself can go to another,
Yeah.
yeah.
Chair Twail and councillors. So what we're looking at doing, we would sort of assess what the preliminary cost would be for electrical if you did put it in a certain site, where it would be before we'd even move forward, and get an idea of what the actual cost of the artificial. So if you just want to sort of consider this, we would look into it and obtain some information to have it during the budget process. And so no matter where you put one of these units, you'd need to upgrade the electrical work. That's just would be a requirement. The units are, they say portable, but they're not as portable when you have a chiller unit that you got to use a crane to move it, and you got to have a pad. So it's
I just want to remind the committee that we have a goal, and that goal is for these outdoor facilities, such as the outdoor rinks, to everyone in every ward. So let's keep that in mind as well. You know, that's a commitment we made to all members of City Council. We began this process from the outset. So I want to make sure we're consistent with that objective. In fact, if it's possible, I don't know if it is, but if it's possible, I'd like to see 2 constructed this year. 2 outdoor rinks constructed this year. If our budget allows us to examine that. These are great facilities.
Yeah.
You know that there's a lot of excitement for the one in Mulberry. The one in West Royalty gets a lot of usage. There's a lot of excitement, as well as the Lions Club and what they've done in Winslow. I've been by there a number of times. That's a great looking facility. It really is. It's in front of their community center, and I think that community is going to have a lot of fun with that. So please keep that in mind as well when we're exploring these options and these possibilities. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I admire your commitment for every ward.
Yep.
But the reality is that the cost and then future maintenance is an issue that we have to discuss. As long as we can cover all the areas of the city, that's the commitment I'm looking at. And I think you would share that too, because it's great to serve every ward, but looking forward is that I think, I respect Councillor Bernard's concern. With climate change, we have to adapt to providing ice services. And just remember, if we do it for one, an artificial ice surface infrastructure, we have to do it for them all. So instead of $500,000 for 5, it would be $500,000 for each of 10 wards. Just try to put that in perspective going forward.
I have put it in perspective, and as I said all along, these are multi-purpose facilities. They're multi-purpose. They're not just for during the winter months. They're an opportunity for all demographics, regardless of the sport of their choice. But with these multi-purpose facilities, it gives us a lot of, it gives us, again, a lot of options for community user groups to go out and utilize these facilities. These facilities are well-built. Each time one is constructed, I think they're much better in terms of eliminating any deficiencies that might have begun with the first one. Frank would know about some of those deficiencies, and they're welcomed in the respective communities. But that was a commitment that we made, and these are multi-purpose facilities. And again, it gives our department and our user groups a lot of options in the respective communities.
Mr. Chair, again, that commitment was not endorsed by council. Council was endorsed to providing multi-use sports venues, outdoor multi-use sports venues throughout the city. You know, every ward would love to have a Victoria Park and all the amenities in their wards, but it's just not financially and infrastructure-wise possible. So I just want to keep the eye on what you want to do, and I think we're moving in that direction. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I know, well, we'll debate that down the road, but I'm going to strive for one for each ward.
If I may,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, and I agree with what the mayor is saying. I don't think council endorsed it. I think, but what was talked about that I recall was, one the north end, one the south, one the east, one the west, trying to cover the city. And I think at some point, ward boundaries don't, they don't stop people from going to using an outdoor facility. I know when Gordy Griffin first opened up, we had people all over the city. So it's spreading out. We now have 4. And I think at some point, I guess, if the management want to do a needs assessment to see where they go, I mean, there's a lot goes into the location, having washrooms nearby, so there's a lot that goes into it. I think that if we're going to continue to build them, you might as well build them so that people can use them. And right now, we know that we haven't got a lot of use out of them last year because it was too mild a year. And I don't disagree. When you talk about one getting an RSF pad, they all should. Whether we can afford to do it all in 1 year, that's questionable, and that's why, want to have this budget discussion. So, anyway,
Yeah.
I'm glad it got brought up, and I think we could have the discussion during the
Yeah.
budget, but I just wanted to touch base with
I'll-
the committee and let them know that that's where I was
I'll end
going.
it off on this
Thank you.
note. When we did approve the one in your ward, I said at the time, nobody disagreed with me, that this model would be the model for every ward. That was the model. I said that, and nobody disagreed with me. And
Agreement, Mr. Chair. We agree with the principle, but we have to keep in mind, we have a lot of other services, police, fire services, water, waste.
I know.
Like, we only have one source of income, property tax.
I understand
And I
that.
appreciate, Mr. Chair,
yeah.
we can carry this on, but.
I understand
again,
that, but this
thank
is the
you.
Parks and Recreation budget,
Yeah.
and we'll have the discussions at that time.
Thank
Great.
you, sir. Thank you.
Next
Mr.
item.
Chair? Oh, Mr. Chair? Sorry, I just had one final comment. Certainly while we go through this, and there'll be some good, healthy debate regarding this discussion, I would not like to lose sight of, I think there's a lot of value in our smaller, traditional type of rinks in parks that allow for younger families who just want to go on the ice with a 2, 3, 4-year-old. They're impactful as well in small parks that are just done basically with snow and ice, and again, all based on weather. But nonetheless, I know that they're costly in the sense of maintaining them from staff, but they are impactful. So I don't want to lose sight of that in some areas where that has traditionally been done, alongside of the debate that we'll have on rinks all across the ward. So I don't want to continue that debate at this point, but just those smaller rinks, I think are huge that we don't want to lose sight of as well. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Our
I-
next item.
And just if I can clarify, I think my understanding was whenever we built these facilities, where we built them, some of those smaller rinks were not going to be, this will take place of the smaller rinks. Yeah, you may want to confirm that for me, Frank.
I'm not, again, I still think there's merit to have some of the smaller ones in some locations. Again, that goes back to, most of the big rinks that you've seen, whether it be Gordy Griffin. I mean, there are times when there's hockey games going on, there's large amount of kids, and some people are discouraged from going to those rinks because of that. And I think it'd be nice to have, in smaller areas across the city, where there was, a 20 by 20 ice, like just ice surface that was created by the water truck and mounted up with snow. Very little cost to sort other than keep going there and cleaning it off. But again, this is all part of a much larger discussion and debate. I just don't want to lose sight of that too in the discussion that we'll have going forward. That's my only point.
Point well taken, Councilor Matart. Thank you. Our next item, Simmons Sports Center, public consultation, renderings to be presented at meeting.
All right, once Christopher gets these turned on, we're just showing them within the room here. Mike and I just received it this morning. No, it's just on one here, so we just received these this morning. There you go. So you'll see there's a couple high quality renderings, and then there's other ones that they refer to as sketch renderings. So this will be, the first one here is the one that you'll see of the main entrance of the exterior of their building. So you can see how it's very, and you know, that you want to actually come in, it's very engaging. You want to go into the building, there's lots of glass, lots of light, a nice entranceway. And you'll see on the right there is actually where the community room is, or the community space is, your entrance. And then you go in your entrance and there's an actual lobby area with the atrium area as well. So it's lots of natural light coming in. Just scoot to the next one there, Christopher. So this gives you a bigger picture of how it looks like. So, you know, your entrance and when you look into the facility. So you'll see on the back right is where the pool area is. And then on the front, your entrance and your arena area. Just keep going there, Christopher. So these are different. This is the pool. So this is the high quality rendering of the pool. And you'll see that's a slight update from what the old Simmons used to look like.
Where's the fence?
There you go. Well, the fence is there. The biggest things they're looking at going with, actually, I think we talked about it's a colored fence, isn't it? Yeah. So the biggest thing you'll see on this here, where there's some natural, it's a wood material, but it's to make it more warm feeling and whatnot. So, you know, there's a large deck area where you can set up some actual tables and chairs. We could put in, you know, bleachers if we need to for swimming events and whatnot. But you have multiple access. You have access to it from the right. The upper part there is our main entrance. There'll be also access into the changing rooms, which people come out there. From that, there's a door at that end as well. You can also go into the main rink area as well. So there's multiple entrance points to this facility. And we hope to be able to extend the season, that we'd hope to be able to open it a bit earlier and keep it open earlier with the way our weather's been going. It will be heated. And I think we can recoup the energy from the rink, still be able to even when the rink is not open, there's other ways of recouping some of the energy to heat the pool. So we'll just keep going through there. So these are just some other renderings. So this shows the front from the Queen Charlotte side, and then from the actual back where the pool is. So it sort of shows how the facility looks within the area. Just keep going there, Christopher. So this is the lobby area. So when you walk into the lobby, it's very inviting, very engaging. You come in, you'll see how nice and bright. You'll see that the main atrium area is at the back there. Straight in is where you'd go back to the dressing rooms, glass entrance, so nice and visible. At the side here, people can, can sit, have a coffee, refreshments. If you're waiting for someone to pick you up, you can sit there and wait there for your parent to pick you up. Let's continue on there, Christopher. So here you'll get, this is actually from the atrium area, just another angle. So you'll see the reception area right when you walk in. So there's reception area there that's going to be open and very visible. The one down below there is actually the community room. So it's very bright, lots of natural light coming in. And then the other area is you're going upstairs to your seating area. And there's an elevator, I guess, right at the end there. It's sort of underneath the stairs. Yeah, just past the stairs. This is from inside the arena. So when you're inside the arena from the Queen Charlotte end, you'll see where the seating is. The warm room's up on the actual top on the left. But you can see how nice and bright the facility is. We're using the white and natural colors.
Oh, look at that.
So just keep going there, Christopher. Here, same thing. This is from the other side of the rink. So this is the top photo is if you were at the back of the rink looking across to the spectator seating. You can see the walking track that is around there, and that it's you can see the whole game, watch the whole game and everything while you're walking. You'll see the next photo is the actual warm room. It is elevated. We did that on purpose so you can actually see down onto the ice over top of the spectator seating. And then you'll see that's the view. The lower one here is a view from the interior of the warm room. So very excellent views. And the arena, just interior view, another one from the interior for more of the ice surface. And that's it. So those are some renderings that gives people a good idea of what the facility is going to look like. It doesn't include every single space, because some of them are very difficult to do a rendering, like say what it's going to look like in a dressing room. It's a standard dressing room, but.
Track, the walking track on the second floor. Can you get a real good snapshot of that, Frank?
If Christopher scooted back there, I'm not sure which, if there's one that's,
One where clearly,
I don't think it showed it, no.
the walking track, for example, how wide it is.
No.
And that's one of the features of this facility that it's going to be great for us.
Chair, can you just use your mic? You're not,
Frank, could you please go back? I'd like to see a rendering of the walking track. It's important for all demographics, but particularly our senior citizens, I think, are really going to gravitate towards this facility, and they're going to be excited, particularly in the winter months when they don't have to walk in the sidewalks.
that's good there.
Where,
So if you look right there, the top one there on the right, that's the one that shows the walking track kind of thing, and I'll see if they can brighten up
you're
a bit.
right.
So
What-
it's the one.
And it goes all the ways around?
Goes all the way around, so it shows.
What's the width, Frank, sorry?
8 feet?
Yeah, it depends on where you run into the steel, so it runs from either 6 feet to 8, 6.5 to 8 feet.
Sorry, so the range is from 6.5, and I'm guesstimating here right now, 6.5 to 8 feet, and it's actually probably wider than 8 feet at some of the ends and the locations. So, as you can see, there is your beams that are your building structure that comes down that impacts it. So while it's wider on the bottom, it's not as wide on the top. But it allows lots of space for 2 and 3 people to be walking down the pathway at once, or the walking track at once.
Yeah, the new facility they built in Rustico, they were told they should have had their walking track on the second floor as opposed to the first floor, because you run into conflict with the players coming into the dressing rooms, and it just creates a bit of chaos.
Yeah.
And that's why, when we had the open house at Simmons,
Yeah.
there was strong recommendations from the community to have that walking track on the second floor to eliminate that confusion and that conflict. So,
Yeah, no, and that was the biggest thing too, Chair Twill, was as well that we wanted to, there's some issues as well was on the lower level where it's potentially also, you have your cold ice surface that can create some frost and cause some slip and fall issues in the bottom. So this was a big thing, raising it elevated. It allows, it's another viewing point too, so people can come there and be walking around the walking track while they're watching whatever's going on, a game down below. We don't have it in there, but there will be netting around this that'll keep the puck from going into location. We did not want to put it on the drawings because
drawing.
it actually will make it look not as clear.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Wow, the renderings really do a lot of justice for this facility, and it looks fantastic, and looks like it's going to be quite a spot when it's finished. Maybe the renderings just don't demonstrate, but is there canteen services in here? It's likely on the main foyer area? Okay, it's probably just not demonstrating that. And secondly, I think it's a really good opportunity, and I'm sure it's maybe being thought about, but is there an area within the foyer that allows for a showcasing of the history of, the Charlottetown Abbeys and the things and other events that have occurred in there over the years? And, be a really great opportunity in that front foyer somewhere. I'm sure there's a committee that is likely taking that task on. And if not, it would be great to see, and Mike might get his jersey in there or something in the showcase. We don't know, but
I think your point's well taken. For example, the founding fathers of the Spud, for example, Claude and Mary Vive. I think that's one of the things I would like to see, a nice tribute to both Claude and Mary for their dedication, their determination, and they built a fantastic tournament that has paid huge dividends. A lot of hockey players come through that tournament, and I knew Claude and Mary very well, and they're great people, and I would certainly like to pay tribute to both Mr. and Mrs. Five for,
Yeah.
taking that on. That's been a real staple in this city for a long time. Long time.
Mr. Chair, could I just add something to that? R.D. Manning was also part of that founding group. R.D. Ralph D. Manning was also part of that founding group. But just to follow up on Councillor Matart's point, I think, Councillor Bernard, correct me if I'm wrong, but we did discuss that the foyer would be dedicated to the history of the Simmons family, to hockey, to sports throughout the era of this facility that we'll be calling I refer to it as the Simmons Aqua Arena facility. But that was, I think Natalie Munn was someone we were addressing or looking to acquire, along with Jack Simmons and other Simmons family members. But that has to be part of the foyer.
I think it has to be part of the fabric.
Because
of this, yeah.
it's totally different, as you know, Councillor Matart, than what we have there now. The old Simmons rink was set up like Cody Banks. You go in, go to the locker room,
Hockey and leave.
and back and onto the rink. This will have amenities that will make it a community facility. But I just want to ask, Mr. Chair, through you to the manager, what's the square footage for the community center? The square footage for the community center, is it 2,500 square feet? Am I wrong to
It's
say
right around there,
that?
2,500. For the community room?
Your worship, yes, it's in the range of that. I don't have it right in my head, but it is. We're going to be putting an overview notes to go with all these drawings that indicate what the size of the spaces are. And with regards to Councillor Matart's remarks there with regards to an area to display the history of the rink, that is going to be in the atrium, the main area there. You'll see on the top photo there, the space on the left, there's a wall space that'll be displayed there. There's also space in the middle that we'd be looking at doing something that is actually in the middle there. The canteen is right after the reception area there, on your right, so.
So, Mr. Chair, again, look, this is a great project. I know council made the decision back in 2019 to go down this road, or down this path, and I've not looked back and regretted it. This has been a plus. Costs have gone up, but you know what? If you're building a facility like this, build it right and build it right the first time. So my concern is that pathway, that upper deck walking track, Frank, there is no way that someone will be walking there and they'll have to duck under one of those suspension beams. Just guarantee me that we want to have a clear.
No, that's not going to happen.
No, I know, but that's a point. Yeah, I just want to make sure that you're walking along, just to be clear, it'll be clear sailing right through, 8 feet wide, 6 feet wide, and 8 feet high, correct?
So there is a natural structure of the building. They're leaning in some spots.
Yeah, I know.
Those spots will actually, you won't be able to, unless you're of a shorter height, you might be able to walk at in closer, but it'll be set. It'll be set that will have a certain space, and we'll have areas where those are sticking out, but they're not sticking out that you won't be able to see it. So it's going to be the area that you'll be able to walk, and I think the minimal, like you said, was 6.5, and I'd have to confirm that for sure.
Yeah, because I give credit to the chair, he's always asked and pushed on this walking track, and I agree, this is second level. I wasn't agreeing with the former chair at the time that we should go up to the second level, it should go to the ground level, but the experience out at North Rustico and in Tyne Valley, it's ground level, it's not a walking track. So again, Mr. Chair, I just want to make sure it's clear passage through. And I have just one of the two other questions. Frank, did we try to access any of the district heat? There is a line that runs through there from Queen Charlotte to Colonel Gray. Is there any way to access to district heat?
Your worship, yeah, no, we did look into it at the time, and it was the sheer cost associated with it. Did not make sense.
Wow.
So we are looking at actually, there is solar that's going to be on the roof, so we are looking using some solar panels, and we also are looking into some other energy recouping systems, like the rink itself will actually, we'll be able to collect all the energy off of the ice system, and it'll be able to use to heat a number of heat the dressing rooms, heat the multi-purpose room, those types of spaces.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chair, last question. So we've been told that this will be a net zero ready building, correct? that correct, Frank?
Correct, net zero ready. It won't necessarily be net zero, but it'll be net zero ready.
Thank you. I was just going to make a couple of comments. There was lots of reasons to move the track upstairs, and I think some of them were mentioned here before about dampness and people coming in and out of the dressing room, and people in your way during games. You're trying to watch a game, you're standing there. So there's lots of reasons to move it upstairs. And my recollection was that it is 6 to 8 feet wide, depending on where the beams are, which is lots of room. And the renderings, as Justin said, it does really show how beautiful it's going to be. The only question I had, Frank, was early on, we had windows above, like along the wall where Simmons Sports Center is, along that wall facing North River Road. I thought we had windows there that were darkened, so you could let natural light in, but it wouldn't. They were, like I say, they were. What do you call that? Where you tinted? The glass was going to be tinted.
Yeah.
That seems to be removed altogether, is it?
So we did initially, in the initial plan, we were looking into that. It was the sheer cost of actually putting those windows in because they had to not allow direct sunlight onto the ice surface. We are looking at putting, and there was concern that those weren't going to completely stop that, that there was going to be issues. We are looking at adding some other natural light panels throughout the facility, and that's something we'll look at a later date. But right now, it's the sheer cost that it was going to cost to put those in. So when the building kept ballooning higher and higher and higher, we decided to focus on the front area, making sure those are well, natural, a lot of natural light. Because there is real concerns when you have a rink surface, is keeping that natural ice or natural light from actually affecting the ice surface.
Okay. The other thing I would mention is this particular facility not only be net zero ready, but it would be climate controlled. So you can have all kinds of sports running in there in the summertime and it'd be comfortable. So, which makes a difference when you're trying to play lacrosse or ball hockey or whatever in the summer in our indoor rinks now, it gets pretty hot. So this would be climate controlled, so very comfortable. You got the extra high ceilings, so volleyball, like a lot of those sports is not out of the question in this facility, tennis, what have you. So, and then, Frank, I think the projection time to open that, did you say was October 24? Is that what it is now?
That is what we're working towards.
Thanks.
Mr. Chair, could I, again, this is a big project for you to be chair of, but I just want to say, big shout out to the staff, Mike, who's been working with Harborside Engineering, and Frank and Christopher Drummond. Again, I did ask Frank about looking at a site visit, and I spoke to Harborside this morning. Frank is going to try to arrange something for council to do a site visit. I think it would be worthwhile. And Frank, did you get any response from the charlottetownhall.ca pound the table? Remember you were going to do a little outreach and get some response. Did you get any response?
So these drawings right here, Your Worship, these, we were waiting to receive these. So now that we've received these, we're putting them on the Charlottetown Hall. We're going to put an overview explaining each of the images, explaining sort of where we're at with the job, and allow people to provide comments and whatnot back. And with regards to the site tour, Mike White will work with our project manager. Potentially, it could be lined up this week is what we're looking at. So there could be one lined up this week, and we'll reach out as soon as possible.
Could I ask, Mr. Chair, if we could do it next week, because this is Remembrance Week, just for planning and timing?
Your Worship, I'll have to check with, Mike will reach out to our project manager to see when he is over here to do a tour. So he'll work on that and we'll let you know.
Frank, can we showcase the renderings at our next city council meeting? I'd like to be able to illustrate this to the rest of council.
Sure, so I hope to have these up on Charlottetown Hall before the end of the week. So that would be a good opportunity that you could refer people to the website to actually view them and
I'd
go
like to
through
show
them.
it to council.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next report is Seniors Engagement Committee. Any questions? No. Youth Engagement Committee minutes? Any questions? I want to just touch on something we can discuss later. First of all, my apologies, I should have brought it up earlier, but I was approached by a couple of members of City Council with the idea of shutting off the inside lane, the vehicle traffic, for the winter months. I think there's a real appetite to have that closed off so we can have people that want to jog, run, cycle, still continue to use that inside pathway. Is it possible, Frank, and again, I should have, so much going on, I should have brought it up earlier, but is it possible that we can shut the inside lane off for pedestrian only as opposed to vehicle traffic?
So Chair Twill, so right now, like that is part of our Victoria Park bylaw, so any changes to, making that a more permanent shut to vehicles would have to go through council. It's quite a process. And as well, with regards to it, there was initially when we looked at this, is that their accessibility during the winter months and whatnot was one of the issues as well, getting fire vehicles in there and everything. So it's not just an easy, the current system, shutting it down. So we'd have to look into it and see what, the possibility of even doing that.
Could you please look into it, and then maybe we can discuss it?
Are we talking about the outside lane that's open to traffic? Okay, so the inside lane that we open up in October, the end of October.
If you do that, please, Frank.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll collect the necessary information, but it is a process. It was something that you would be, yeah.
No, question, one question. Just before we go, I'd just like to take the opportunity to thank Frank, the manager, for addressing the concerns that I brought forward with the area between Joe Giz Park and the backside of Beach Street. It was an area that has become very problematic, and I appreciate you working directly with Public Works and the Department of Environment Sustainability and all of those to actively address the concerns of that particular area. There were a lot of felled trees from Fiona, the fence was broken, and again, it just has become very problematic. So again, I appreciate that. Taking the lead on that, Frank, and seeing that through. And I know there's more work to be done there, but I wanted to acknowledge that today and your efforts, as well as those involved in your department and other departments. Thank you.
Good point. Just to add to that, Mr. Chair, our manager did say to us that clearing that we're doing is our right-of-way along with the provincial government, so I think it's a shared responsibility that we're undertaking here again. Province and the city working together, so thanks, Frank. Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yeah.
Motion carried.